momentum, but you're still getting 4.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. When you think about what the Fiendsmith engine adds to the Rescue Ace package is effectively, you're able to kind of push the conversation a lot. I'm going to do this or that, and then you get to drop the Rescue Ace cards. But let's start off with
We started off with double Mulcharmy.
Wow, just to make sure it happens.
Okay.
So you're going to be drawing 2 cards for every single summon from the hand now, because unlike, well, these aren't once per turn, you can activate 2 Mulcharmy cards total for the turn, and therefore they stack. And that Diabell Star, the Black Witch, if we choose to summon this card, is going to drain 2 cards, and if we continue to choose to summon more cards, that's going to really load up the hand for Rescue Ace.
Definitely shows that water might be fire's greatest weakness, but here comes Diabell Star, so draw 1 and 2.
Oh, I meant for our Tearlaments Fiendsmith player. Let me get that corrected here. That is such an interesting start. I don't think we would have actually seen a double Mulcharmy start, but
I'm going to grab OSS and I will set it face down.
I mean, there are ways to play around it. Of course, original Simple Spoil Snake does play around it a little bit. We can go for Hydra, but there's a lot of stuff that you're going to be adding to hand. And you do technically summon from the hand as well, if you, especially when you want to do the banish-based summon.
It's going to be difficult. Well, Fire Department is in full effect as we see Rescue Ace Hydrant appear on the field.
Nothing on summon.
Nothing on summon.
That is ideal if you can get this off.
Is that okay?
So this is going to be Fire Engine being summoned onto the field because we did summon one of our Rescue Ace monsters. Now, Mulcharmy does have a secondary effect. If you draw way too many cards, you're going to have to randomly put some back until you're down to, I believe, 6 cards?
If you have more than 6 in your opponent, obviously we'll have to do a little card counting once we get there. But speaking of counting cards, we're about to see the lucky number 4 if that Turbulence hits the field.
If you draw,
unfortunately,
I mean, you're drawing 4 cards if we're pushing through it like this. If we get one more additional summon, that is going to be 4 cards, 3, 4, 4. That's going to be 7 cards.
I'm going to make SP Little Knight.
It all depends on how large of a field Nicholas decides to assemble here.
So,
and Turbulence. So this is often where I see people choose to use their interruption if they have something, and we've drawn now a lot of cards from those Mulcharmies. So Taylor ideally will be able to stop this Turbulence from going off. If not, that is good news for Nicholas.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards.
9 cards? Okay, well, we haven't seen that in a very long time. Now, that Rescue Ace Turbulence is trying to, even the odds here. We're going to see it set 4 cards onto the field. So you may have drawn 4 cards. Okay, well, I'm going to set 4 cards. We're going to see how that plays out.
Definitely going to have to be some trades of 1-for-1. Looks like we're going to do Emergency Reinforce, Extinguish, and Alert.
Now, I'm going to want to do some math here because, yes, 9 cards is awesome to draw, but this is what Rescue Ace does. It just sets 4 cards. There's a chance that we actually have like the same number of cards for both players at the end of Nicholas's turn, and Taylor's not going to have to shuffle back that many.
Now, ordinarily this would be overwhelming, but those Mulcharmies have made this a fair fight.
Yeah.
OSS draw card.
We're going to use the Wanted effect to put back the original Simple Spoil Snake Eye to draw 1 card. Now, insulating the Turbulence with that copy of SP is very, very useful, especially when you want to dodge cards like Infinite Impermanence. And drawing that many cards, you quite easily could have picked that up.
Certainly could, but we'll see what ends up paying off. He might just end right here, it looks.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
He said in end phase, so that means that Taylor during end phase will drop out the Bestial Druid Worm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Starting with 8 cards in hand. It's like almost a full new hand.
Resolve Perulia, nothing needs to be.
Oh, and I love it when you look at what Taylor is playing. Fiendsmith Tearlaments. That is Aqua Monsters in the graveyard for those Mulcharmies. So they actually do synergize with the deck, and 9 cards in your opening hand here, plus a monster on the field, means that you have so many plays as the Fiendsmith Tearlaments player.
Pressured Planet Wraith slot have been activated. We're going to be adding a Kashtira monster into our hand. That is going to reveal to be the Tearlaments Kashtira.
Yes, sir. Find that hard to believe.
Oh, wow. Could not believe that he was playing against Tearlaments, but with so many different cards there, it's really neat that he has so many options to choose from. We might even see those Mulcharmies go back to the deck like you were mentioning, Steven, and hey, then we'll see this double drop again.
Could you imagine having to play through 2 turns of a double Mulcharmy? Although, we'll see what actually happens here, because again, with 9 cards plus that monster on field, There are ways that Fiendsmith Tearlaments can just end a game in their first turn. If they get the battle phase, they can get set up, they can assemble a lot, but they are playing through many forms of interruption. This is the strength of the Rescue Ace deck is, yes, they're not the most powerful necessarily, but they do have disruption. They can negate effects, they can destroy cards. Yeah.
The next card being played here is the other field spell. The field spell they want to probably stick onto the field. That's going to be Perlareno Planet.
Full tour through the galaxy here.
It's a very powerful card, being able to add any of your Tearlament monsters into your hand. That and also adds a fusion boost and a bit of destruction as well on top of that.
Imagine recycling a Molcharmy and getting destruction at the same time.
Incredible.
Yep.
So we got Sharon activated. We're going to discard a card, and we're going to be sending from the top of the deck to the graveyard 3 additional cards.
Trying to see what those are.
Rhino 1, Tier Cash 2.
Also looks like we lost a Forbidden Droplet and one other card as well. But that may not matter considering that stacked hand.
That is fine.
That's a lot. We're going to continue to send more cards from the deck to the graveyard quite shortly.
That is also fine.
And we're going to special summon out Tearlament Kashtira by banishing Tearlament Kashtira from the graveyard. And we're going to send 2 more cards to the graveyard. And we did hit a name. And Rhinoheart is also now going to resolve now. And we're going to summon Rhinoheart. And we have to send to the graveyard, or discard a card, put 1 card into the graveyard, a Tearlament card.
I'm trying to see, is that a Trivi Karma? That looks like it also just hit the
It is a
graveyard.
Trivi Karma.
Really good discards there.
You could add any card that mentions a Visa Starfrost name, and most of those Tearlament cards do mention it.
Quite a lot.
Rhinoheart to Foolish Burial, Chainlink 1.
Here we go again. These big chain links coming from Tearlaments.
Yeah, strap in, everybody.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Now, I'm trying to think from the side of the Rescue Ace player here. If we're looking at Nicholas's options, you have 2 ways to remove effects from the field. You can disrupt your opponent's graveyard as well.
You also even have the option to protect your Rescue Ace Turbulence, but if you do that, pulling it off the field is going to leave you wide open.
You got it, man.
So, in terms of the set cards on Nicholas's side, we know there's a reinforcement. We also know that there is a contain, or is it an extinguish?
It's an extinguish.
Extinguish, but we don't have the hydrant name. So we need that hydrant on that field to really maximize these effects. This is going to be a very interesting one. Now, the spell cards are nothing to scoff at either.
Well, we talked about earlier that it was kind of an emergency not to see emergency, and this is exactly why. Not having the hydrant on the field, it's a little difficult for the fire department to do what it does when it can't plug into that hydrant.
I will activate Kaleidoheart, Chainlink 1.
So the other disruption would be, of course, just the turbulence itself. If something does get removed from the field, I believe there is a destruction-based effect coming from that turbulence. And don't forget, SP Little Knight still applying a little bit of pressure. We're going to see what happens here.
As Kaleidoheart has now landed onto the field.
What a scary
for Taylor.
card.
Yeah, that is.
We're going to be putting,
Can
I
I
believe that
provide
is
a lot of
Hobness
pressure
into the graveyard.
All of a sudden, setting 4 from Turbulence doesn't seem that bad when you have this much resources on the field and hand.
We're going to be putting cards back into the deck, and we're going to use the effect of Pearl Rain to also destroy one of the spell and trap cards in the back row.
This should trigger the Turbulence.
Well, it needs to probably get off the field first. And so the graveyard is not loaded. Emergency usually does put in quite a bit of work, but I don't think this is the current case. Oh, hard drop. Gotta be careful.
Yeah. It's been commonly happening. It's a lot of pressure up on that stage.
I will activate Emergency to summon a Rescue Ace.
Ooh,
there we go. Yeah, this is how you get the hydrant out onto the field.
But you do have to tribute away another monster.
I think at this point you're probably all right sending the Turbulence.
You could possibly special summon a Preventer, then tribute the Preventer, and then use the effect to special summon again your
That
hydrant.
also is a very common line.
The Tearlaments Kashtira to destroy it.
We are going to be using the Extinguish to destroy the Tearlaments Kashtira. Now, if this chain link plays out...
Let's see how it turns out here. What are we doing with emergency? Oh, no, a little different here. Just getting rid of the Turbulence, actually, it seems, because, well, it's done its job, at least for now.
And this is popped. Yeah. And I'm going to summon Hydrant from my deck, and I'm going to tribute the Impulse from my hand.
Okay, so we're opting to tribute from the hand instead from the field.
This way you can maintain both cards on the field.
Yeah, that one added that popped that, and then we will fuse with the Havness.
I still like where you were thinking, Steven, because that is a line that a lot of Rescue Ace players go down. But considering the thin, when you add an extra engine into the Rescue Ace, which is already a very card-intensive deck strategy, sometimes you have to make tough cuts. So maybe that's a cut that they had to make. But we're gonna keep playing more cards.
I went Chain Link 4, Chain Link 5, targeting them.
Certainly difficult, as we've seen. The great thing about this format is it's just a choose-your-own adventure. And speaking of which, looks like we're going to send quite a few cards to the graveyard, so it is evening out pretty fast.
So the Extinguish is going to get shuffled back into the deck because that was already targeted by Kaleido Heart. Very interesting. You got to be very careful with these chain links because you want to maximize your effect, and if you want to get the best effects possible, you got to make sure that during the resolution, the hydrant is already on the field, then you resolve, and then you can get the additional effects, and that's why the chain links matter. When those cards land on the field, they just had to clarify which were the chain links for each other.
Rescue Ace is one of the decks that I think has the highest expression of skill in understanding those chain links, because what I can see, what I'm able to do when I sit down and play Rescue Ace is far different than what we're seeing Nicholas pull off here on stage in front of all of us. Again, high pressure situation. This is very impressive that he's able to keep his cool like this.
I'm going to chain Rescue to something to my
Ooh, so this is a great way to use Rescue. You can target one of your opponent's cards as long as you control. It doesn't even target for that matter. I believe it does. So it does target, and you can get take one of your opponent's cards as well and summon it to your side of the field, and that is going to be met with a Bestial Magnamut and getting rid of his own Kaleido Heart.
Very fortunate that Taylor had that, because otherwise you're going to lose a Kaleido Heart. This is one of the stronger cards that I think a lot of Rescue Ace players that are newer to the deck don't really understand. But again, the ones that really understand it know how powerful disrupting your opponent's graveyard can be. I mean, but drawing 9 cards with those mulch armies meant that
it's a little
double
difficult.
Bestials for Taylor is able to play around it.
So one of the known cards in hand he just revealed, which is going to be Tearlaments Scream. It's a very scary card because it does disrupt how people would activate their chain links. I just need to summon a monster while controlling a Tearlaments monster.
I think what's an interesting point that we might have missed is while both players are playing the Fiendsmith engine, we haven't seen any of the Fiendsmith cards. It almost looks like it is during Rescue Ace in its full power last year.
But that can quickly change it. Just a quick little link summon, and all of a sudden, it's welcome back to 2024.
And that's the strength of the Fiendsmith cards as well, as you do not need many of them in the deck.
No.
And you're able to combine them with so many other strategies. One of the best cards you can possibly get from Infinite and Forbidden is Fiendsmith Engraver. So shout out to anybody who was able to pull them.
Even if you don't see it right now, there's a chance that you could send it from the top of the deck to the graveyard, and that will reveal that, hey, you know what, these cards still work in the graveyard. If I can put another Light Fiend into the graveyard, we're just going to continue to play Fiendsmith, whether it be through the link summoning or send from that deck to the graveyard.
Well, speaking of putting cards in the graveyard, we're activating Foolish Burial now, cycling through a number of different cards, it looks like. Oh, Dip City Serpent, is that right?
Night Sword Serpent, I believe, is what that just was.
on resolution.
Ah, yeah, Night Sword Serpent Wild. That's interesting. We haven't seen that in quite a bit, but we're using it just for a quick Xyz material here.
That is... Oh, we're going to Bahamut Shark. Bahamut Shark effect. Likely summoning one of the most awesome cards of Yu-Gi-Oh! If we can get there. Are we getting there?
You might say that it's totally awesome, but I think we are
no,
about
I believe
to see
it's totally awesome. It says Toad in the name.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed the pun.
Yeah, it's going to be totally awesome. That's going to add a layer of negation.
Steven.
Ah, you're fine.
Well, yes, one of the coolest cards in the extra deck, one of my favorites. Totally awesome, has hit the field here. Creative way to get it out, and we can keep playing. I mean, we're not really locked into much.
So all of the monsters on Nicholas's side now are going to be reduced in attack and defense, because that is Tearlaments Scream, and that is...
I can't set it to my...
Ooh, so the SP has been chained to that, attempting to get rid of the Totally Awesome.
Forces
totally
it
awesome, you know, forced out, and SP's gone.
It's a reminder why our frog friends are so powerful here.
And notable, you cannot take the SP because it cannot be set onto your field as it is a link monster. So I think that's a great way to deal with the Totally Awesome. Not you know, ideal that you still have to deal with it, but if you're going to have a tool, this is a good one.
I have summoned it from the hand already.
Not that many disruptions left on Nicholas' side. I think that double Molcharmi really just slowed the entire field down. You don't want to commit too many cards. Let your opponent have that many cards. And because playing Turbulence, you just set up your field so much, develop so many cards that they got to keep more cards with Molcharmi.
That is certainly something that people are going to have to get used to. There's a lot of cards like that, like Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood. Do you keep playing into it and give your opponent more resources, or do you slow down and just stop things out?
And I love that Molcharmi, there was a big question coming into this weekend, how many Molcharmis would be in main decks. It's expected to be a very popular side deck card, but if you're playing Tearlaments, yes, it's an Aqua. You don't even feel bad if you draw it and you don't get much use out of it as a card against your opponent's strategy. So I think it's really creative deck building.
Here we go. We've got Moon of the Closed Heaven being link summoned onto the field. This really just pivots the whole deck into just generating even more monsters. And now that we've burned out most of the field, this is creating a safe landing pad for these Fiendsmiths.
It looks like Keldo, a little bit of a blast from the past, might be activating its effect shortly, but looks like we are about to move on. Take a look at the graveyard here.
Now, look out. Is there a Fabled Lurry in there? No, I don't believe so.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Will it be necessary? We'll find out. I mean, there's a lot of monsters. Typically, you want, start with the Lurry. You want to start with the, the Engraver play so that you can just have the additional monster to continue linking away. But once you already have 3 additional monsters already established, I think we can interweave our play now.
Well, we went ahead and got rid of our Fiendsmith Requiem here, grabbing the Fiendsmith Engraver and special summoning to the field. Things are really kicking off here. Once we saw that Light Fiend, the Moon of the Closed Heaven.
We are going to use Requiem's effect to target our Engraver. Are we going to send it away, or are we going to go for Necroquip Princess?
We'll wait to see the decision, but I just want to take a moment to say...
Target, send both to the graveyard.
We're going to go target.
Okay.
And there's the Reinforce.
There
Oh, what a good choice. I mean, that's good foresight, because now your monster is unaffected by monster effect.
Let's see how Taylor can play through this. But again, I just want to give a shout out to Taylor, who has played this field very well. I mean, I know you're starting with 9 cards in hand plus a Druid Swarm on the field, but regardless, it can be difficult to play through a fully established Rescue Ace.
Yeah, but to your point, Steven, cards are cards, but it takes a good duelist to use them effectively. So Taylor is doing a great job of utilizing all these resources and not sort of going into a blind fog just because he happened to have a big start.
Now, I want to note that because we are under Reinforce for the Turbulence, I know that you can't declare an attack on that Hydrant. There is another Rescue Ace monster on the field. And I don't think it'd be destroyed by battle either, because I think Hydrant is on the field at the same time.
It was. We might see a second Turbulence activation.
I guess I will
live to fight again.
Yeah, if Nicholas gets another turn here. I'm trying to think of the options that you can go for. We have not seen a lot of the Fiendsmith decks playing things like Underworld Goddess that are ways to get rid of, those pesky monsters like that, but maybe we still could.
Well, we're going to see the rest of the Fiendsmith package right now with Fiendsmith Sequence, Fiendsmith Fusion Summon into the Lacrima, trying to go for the Fiendsmith add back to hand. We're going to send it back to the graveyard and go for the Tract added to hand now. And Tract is going to lead to another Light Fiend being added to hand and another card being discarded.
Well, we're wondering where that Fabled Lurry might be. This might be the time that it shows up.
Fiendsmith effect, target.
Typically is that target there.
I have no response, that's fine.
So Fiendsmith Engraver gets put back into the deck, and we're going to summon the Engraver onto the field. We still haven't activated the Tract just yet. And there's the Tract being activated right now as we speak.
I know you have Tear Catch +2 on those.
Now, I haven't gotten a good look at what Nicholas has in his hand. Has anybody else spotted that card?
Haven't gotten to see it. He's been pretty conservative of taking a look at that. Maybe it does nothing. Maybe he's very confident about it. What we are doing is banishing Reinforce to go ahead and set that rescue.
Now, that rescue can't be activated, but speaking of, graveyard play, we're going to see a graveyard play right now with the Keldo. Keldo is now activated. We're going to be putting back a couple of cards. Could be from either graveyard. We're going to target them now. There's 3 cards to be targeted. First one's going to be Scream.
This.
And we're getting rid of the opponent's cards now.
And the Trap.
Yeah.
The Extinguish, the Rescue, and the Scream.
So that might be a double-edged sword because, well, it certainly prevents the rescue from actually being set to the field. That did recycle some of the resources there, so the Turbulence may be able to bring him back out if and only if Nicholas gets to another turn.
But that is ideal because you don't have your Rescue Ace HQ, the field spell, to cycle back those Rescue Ace cards back into the deck to allow the second Turbulence activation. Your opponent did it for you, so you're actually not too worried about that. This is what I wanted to see. Did he have anything in hand? And Nibiru is massive.
This is going to clear that entire field. There is no response on here. There's no Totally Awesome. That's why he got rid of that Totally Awesome pretty early on into the play. We're going to trade. We're going to get rid of cards. That's a massive token.
We talk about the impact of the Primal Being, but clearing all of these cards out mid-combo, there may not be a way to recover here. So Taylor certainly did a great job, but maybe he just thought that Nibiru didn't exist. And when you think that, that's when it shows up.
And now that Turbulence is also removed from the field because Reinforce only protects you from your opponent's cards, not your own. This is a little bit of emergency coming behind your own line.
Well, but it also, I think, potentially, who knows how much that might have baited Taylor into feeling safe, thinking, oh, they're trying to protect that. Nibiru probably is not on their mind, but it still is a very powerful card. Nibiru, one of the strongest interruptions against the type of field that Taylor was assembling.
Typically, you see like Imperm Nibiru, Effect Veiler Nibiru. This time we got SP plus Nibiru. We need to answer the negation.
Hey,
we got the answer.
We got, you know?
He's answered it quite nicely. Let that big token land on the field. It's touchdown with that rock.
Gigantic numbers there, but again, still quite a few cards. Taylor might be able to continue play, but it's kind of difficult when you've used up almost all your extra deck combo pieces, and now they're just sitting in the graveyard.
11,500.
11,500 for that token. Wow.
Huge.
I will activate Tearlaments, Sheer into Fusion Summon as Chain Link 1, Lacrima.
Oh, but you did send away some Tearlament cards into the graveyard by card effect, and that's going to cause him to trigger in the graveyard to perform a Fusion Summon.
Again, we saw that Nibiru was strong, but even yesterday, people were able to play through it, so we are going to go ahead and see the Fiendsmith sequence show back up on the field. Looks like 1,200 damage there.
That's going to be from the Lacrima. Lacrima being sent to the grave, put some Light Fiend back, and boom, 1,200 damage. So that token is huge. Just by base is already stronger than Nibiru because there was a Turbulence. That's 3,000, 3,000. Sure. Just that alone, your own card.
There's a version of this where a triple Tactics Talent could end the duel.
If only that was an attack position.
If only,
that would have been a crazy telegraph.
Could you imagine?
Nibiru is humongous.
Now, what are we fusing into? Because we did activate one of the Tearlament effects. Okay, Dragostapelia.
Hey.
That is a very powerful fusion monster.
I'll activate the Dragostapelia target.
So that's going to reduce the level of that Nibiru to 1, but not necessarily get rid of anything else, as Nibiru doesn't have any activated effects on that field. So just, you know, maximizing all the effects. Will it come up where he needs it later on? Of course, there's also the field spell. The additional gain 500 attack points is going to matter.
I will set one card. I will attempt to go to the end phase.
All right, so looks like we're going to go into
too. Don't forget about that Scream. Scream reducing.
In the end phase, I'll resolve Magnemite. I'll add Druisworm to my hand.
And Magnemite is going to add back the Druisworm. That is going to be alive immediately because there's Nibiru in the graveyard.
So we have Dragostapelia, which can negate a monster effect on the field by placing the token. And we also have a Bestial Dragon in hand. Druisworm can banish a light or a dark from either graveyard to summon itself. So 2 forms of disruption, at least one. There's an infinite impermanence from the side of Nicholas.
Nicholas is going to turn off the negation capacity, or rather the token dropping capacity of that. We're going to start off with a Snake Eyes Poplar.
This might be a little secret there, too. Yeah, I mean, we know how strong these two decks work together with level 1 monsters, and obviously, Poplar being one of the strongest there, it'll be interesting to see if it's able to make an impact on the
It's going off. Now, remember, a popular Link 1 that Snake Eyes plays is Anima, and look at where that Nibiru token is.
That's going to be able
to
get
rid of that
token.
At least, yeah, and then still go into more of the Snake Eyes combo.
But I don't think there's going to be a Snake Eye combo here. Based on this particular play, these anyone that plays like Rescue Ace don't exactly focus their deck onto Snake Eyes. It's just the Poplar getting the original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye. That is the key card that they want. Will we be able to get that? I don't know. Maybe you drew into it. But now we have the Relinquish Anima to clear off that giant token. That token is not going to apply its attack over because tokens by default don't exactly have any stats.
Looks like Taylor's going to go bring down Tearlaments Kashtira here. Not just ceding the duel because it isn't his turn, right? The cumulative joke about Tearlaments, it's our turn, so activating the effect.
We share the turn here.
Yeah. But again, we're going to go ahead and banish another Tearlaments Kashtira to bring it out and maybe send a few cards to the grave.
Summon, I will activate Chainlink 1, Tier Cash, Chainlink 2.
Remember, sharing is caring, and we like to share our turns together.
Yeah. Sharing. Nah, I'm trying to find something. There's nothing.
No, come on, Sharon is Karen.
Sharon is
something
Karen.
like that. There we go.
But we did put a Black Goat Laughs into the graveyard. That's going to turn off, I believe, some of the activated effects of monster, unless there's something from the graveyard.
Going to be kind of difficult here. Again, so many cards going to the graveyard. It's exactly what Tearlaments wants. And Taylor's done a great job of setting himself up in this position.
Ooh.
And he's able to, on resolution, use his own Blackout Laughs, declaring Relinquished Anima.
I'm going to actually go with sending the Poplar to grave.
Okay, so we got original Simple Spoil Snake Eyes sending a Poplar away. And that's going to lead into the only other level 1 fire monster we can summon. That's going to be a Hydrant.
So seeing a full search of the deck there, you're absolutely right, Tom. It seems like that Poplar is really only there to motivate getting the Hydrant out via the original
Did he vanish
Simple Spoils.
all of his Hydrants?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Is that an illegal activation? That is an illegal activation.
Oh, no. Not like this.
Not like this. Not like this at all.
I'm not, no. That's fine. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
looks like that's going to be
without a
game
follow-up.
1 going over to Taylor.
And there is a Mulcharmy in his hand.
It's happening again.
Oh, no.
The double Mulcharmy for the second duel in a row.
Nicholas has to decide how many cards he's going to end on. Maybe he'll be a little bit more conservative here, but wow.
Oh, wow.
You can't see us at the caster deck, but our hands are on our heads. Just cannot believe this.
Okay. Let's see what Nicholas can do to not summon from hand to generate that many cards. Unfortunately, rescuers typically need to start with at least one added card to hand and one summon from the hand. Are we going to be able to play it just strictly just using Emergency?
I don't know if the stream microphones are picking it up, but the entire venue got a little louder after that play. I imagine the folks standing out there watching this match are reacting in kind.
This is what we're talking about. This is kind of how you bypass the Mulcharmy. So there was originally 2 card draws. So if you think about it, we just got a double Upstart Goblin at the very least. That's how you can kind of trade with the Mulcharmy Perulia. But now we're trying to avoid it as much as possible by only playing the Fiendsmith cards right now. You know, add to hand, send to the, discard to the graveyard, summon from graveyard. That's not summon from hand.
If you're able to assemble a strong field without giving more draws, then in a way, I mean, they still replace the Mulcharmies, right? It'd be turned into just 1-for-1 draws, but, you know, you're not giving them that advantage at that point, which would feel very good.
I'd like to think Nicholas has learned his lesson after what happened last time. It's just special summoning all these fiends from the graveyard is probably a good idea.
Now, he can also wait a little bit because he knows that the opponent will have to activate a monster effect at some point. Do you add a card that you can use later on, like Impulse, or... Oh, it is Impulse. Okay. So he's thinking about it. Like, I don't want to drop the cards immediately. And maybe he can go for the emergency now because that summons from the deck. And when that summons from the deck, you're not going to give him the additional draw. When you set 4 this time, oh, it's going to feel so much better not giving 9 cards to the opponent to start their turn.
You can go into something like a Preventer, which can then set a opponent's monster face down. You do have the Hydrant on the field right now. So I do like that. I like the plays so far from Nicholas. And again, I keep saying it, but Rescue Ace players also have to be very creative with how they play the cards.
Now, we got to be careful. Time is now down to 13 minutes. Ooh. That was a very long game 1. It didn't feel that long, but it is a long game 1. Now we're going to Lacrima from the sequence. And we're going to continue our play here. Ooh.
Looks like, okay,
Beatrice.
Beatrice effect resolved.
All right, the Lady Eternal. What card shall she send from the deck to the grave? Ooh, looks like we might be rescuing out Turbulence, perhaps?
Another creative use of the Fiendsmith cards in a new deck. I never would have thought to do something along this line, but if it works, it works.
Oh, this is a Link 3. That's going to be Promethean Princess to bring back that Turbulence.
Even easier.
This is all under double Mulcharmy, and you have only given your opponent One draw off of each. Nicholas is navigating
some more
this
draws,
very
maybe things
stressful
would've changed.
situation with
Yeah,
12 and a half
I
minutes on the
learned
clock
from
under
first time. I
double
don't think
mulch
I'm gonna do
armies
a single matter.
incredibly well.
Now
Notice the
we're gonna-
difference here.
Go
This
ahead.
time, there's 3 trap
Is it the
cards.
same
Instead of
four
having
color
those
as in the
spells there,
additional
he's
now?
not looking to bolster his
I've
board.
set
He
this
is
time
looking to
around, I've
stop
set
Yeah.
anything that Taylor has.
Target effect negate, correct?
Yep.
This is gonna be insane. We got now a triple trap card and 1 spell card.
Tain, Extinguish, Reinforce.
Contain's very scary, especially if you can get a hydrant on the field. The additional effects are just so good. Now we're getting rid of that fire lock now.
Sunlight Wolf?
Sunlight Wolf, we can actually add back some cards as
And
well.
I will throw one in the mix.
Yep.
Okay.
And
I'm
think
imagining there's a lot of other ways, emergency,
I will
rescue, things that we
him.
can get back the hydrant with. So I imagine maybe at the beginning of Taylor's turn, one of those will go off just to allow Nicholas to have as many disruptions as possible.
Don't forget, we still have Beatrice on the field that can send another card into the graveyard.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of disruption here.
Cool.
Going into the 6th card now,
cards in here,
will
right?
this be enough compared to the 9?
Trap
Oh, about to find
I
out.
wish.
Looks like our first card here as Taylor decides.
Battle phase.
Uh-oh.
Certainly.
Before
Oh,
battle phase.
no.
Now, can we go to before battle phase and do something?
Yeah.
In start sub battle phase, I'll activate Beatrice.
Okay.
That will resolve.
You can feel the evenly matched coming.
Yeah.
What shall
we
he do
can
to prevent
see
it?
it in the hand. That is.
Okay, I like this where this is
brutal.
going.
Ah, so that you can special summon to get the Ash Blossom back when you need it with the Sunlight Wolf's ability to add from the graveyard back to the hand.
I know that that card cannot be activated, if I'm not mistaken. That card cannot be summoned.
And then I'm going to go ahead and activate
Oh, we're going to activate more of our
Rescue
cards
to bring
here.
back Turbulence.
Bringing back Turbulence with the
Okay.
rescue.
And then on summon, trigger Sunlight Wolf, add back fire.
Yes.
They're going to
Oh,
add back a
Ash
fire.
to
They're going to
hand.
add back the Ash
That's
Blossom.
a very creative way to get the Ash into hand.
You're absolutely right. It shows you how powerful the Fiendsmith cards are because every deck has something unique that it wants in the graveyard.
Yep.
And so using Beatrice and the Lady Eternal in this way,
I'll
just
activate
stunning.
Reinforced Target
I'm telling
Turbulence.
you, the creativity of Nicholas right now
Yeah.
cannot be understated. This is incredible how he's navigating the situation.
I will attempt to move to end of battle phase.
That's
So
fine.
we're going to the end of the battle phase. Here comes the evenly matched after all.
match. Wow, what an incredible trade.
All right. Yeah, going to keep that Turbulence, I imagine, out of all the options.
Have to say goodbye to some of these cards, though. You still need 3 more leaving.
Yep. And that is very difficult because they're banished face down. You're not going to be able to recycle those back, which is something that Rescue Ace really does love to do. Oh, we're letting the Turbulence go.
Now, the card that was added back
Move
cannot be
to
normal
main
or
phase
special
2.
summon, so, you know, Ash is a pretty good choice. You know, you can still effectively
Normal
use the
summon
card, I
activate
believe.
effects.
Certainly an exciting combo to try out in practice, but looks like we're actually going to discard Impulse instead.
Good.
This is great. This is one way to summon out one of your machine rescue aces from the deck. You can find ways to draw
I will
cards. We're going to
summon,
go instead with
Fire
the one that has the
Fire
capacity to summon, and that is going to be
Resolve.
Fire Engine.
So just as an update, it looks like there was a procedural error minor that was issued to Nicholas. Again, it's a legal activation of the last card there, but again, it's just going to be a warning.
Okay. Yeah, that was the, not having a valid target of the
What
Sinful
does that
Spoils.
monster
But again, it is a
If you
warning.
special
Remember,
summon a
the
monster,
any
I can
WCQ,
activate
like
this
anything
somebody
else,
local
it is a
or rescue
long
monster.
day. These are the best duelists here,
Yeah.
but they have been fighting a very hard duel.
Activate Tier Cash New Chain. I will mill 2 cards.
This has been my
That is
favorite
fine
duel
by
of the
me.
entire weekend so far. Just first off, the creativity of the decks and also the creativity of both of these duelists. We've had some great moments so far.
Now, if we continue to summon, we're going to be summoning out our level 4 or lower rescue aces from the deck. If you keep on summoning while the Fire Engine is on the field, that's how you regenerate your field.
Yeah.
And that's going to be met with Ash Blossom for the tract. We're just
right.
trying to cut down the turn.
Can't normal summon.
Yeah, you can't normal summon or special summon that card.
Hey, you can still use its effect.
That's going to be Tearlaments Grief.
Okay, how does Taylor want to navigate the rest of this?
It's like we are getting a Tearlaments Cashier and saying goodbye to Tearlaments Reinhardt there. And that Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring made a huge impact. Being able to get it on call is
Yep.
insane.
I love that that happened. That was
There's no better way to say
That
it
was
than
incredible, yeah.
That's cool.
You're good.
I'll go Chain Link 3 and summon from deck.
Here we go. Fire Engine now will activate.
We have
And we're going to summon Airlifter, the one that's
Airlifter.
limited to 1.
okay.
Airlifter.
Well, when you can Get it out whenever you need it. It doesn't feel too bad to be at 1.
Oh, there are
And then
hits
I will
in
resolve
the set of
discard
cards being sent to the
effects
graveyard.
And summon Rhino.
Yep.
Someone Rhino? Rhino Heart? There definitely is enough to perform a fusion here.
New chain link says turn player.
This is one of the scariest
Chainlink
parts about the
1,
Tearlament deck
Havnus
is the fact
Diffusion
it
Summon.
almost feels impossible
Chainlink
to
2,
stop
Heartbeat,
it.
add
They just
Celiac back.
keep
Chainlink 3,
playing
Celiac to
through
add a monster.
everything that you're doing.
Chain link 4, lift
Very
layers,
difficult to
twist
slow it down for sure,
Yeah.
but
Chain
trying the best here.
Ooh,
Ooh, okay.
That fusion effect is not going to be going through because
Okay.
Bestial Druid Swarm has been activated targeting. Was that the Havnus?
And you can't include that card if it's not in the graveyard anymore.
Yep. Go search up
The
Soul.
Heartbeat added back the trap card. And Rhino Heart is going to continue sending a card into the graveyard. That's going to be Sharon.
Now it's 6 minutes 45 seconds on the clock. We got to keep our eyes up there because
Oh, that was
this
from the
duel
Celiac
could
added.
go for quite a while longer than this, and no damage has been dealt. Taylor is still up in the best of 3 series.
I mean, these decks can take a long time to execute all of the moves. The options, it's just so wide.
Nobody's playing slow here. Again, they're just moving fast. But with
Yeah.
so many different effect activations, it does take quite a while to get through the duel.
Oh, we are pivoting into Fiendsmith.
Yeah, speaking of effect activations, here come a few more your way.
I have 1 Engraver engrave as well as the...
Now we still have the Promethean Princess in graveyard, I believe. I don't think we've activated that yet.
No, yeah.
If memory serves correct, so Nicholas still has some decisions.
I mean, that would have been a really good moment to kind of
Seems like
clear
that
that
would've been the
monster.
time.
There, yeah.
That was the time, and now we've kind of pushed a little bit far. Are we just waiting for this particular copy to hit the graveyard? Are we
On someone
waiting?
engraver.
Oh,
I'll do
he's
the
waiting for the
weekend.
engraver.
Okay.
He
Target
knew.
lifter and the
Yep.
engraver.
I mean, you have to do it at some point.
Yeah.
You can't just let
That
the
is
Fiendsmith combo go off. Nicholas knows that, is deciding to do it here on the engraver.
This is what I should have done earlier.
Is it enough? Now we got Sharon.
Oh, sure.
Sharon was added to
Sending
hand
discard.
earlier.
What was that? That discard?
That's a Mudora.
Oh, it's a Mudora. Okay.
We hit Murley as well in this particular Sharon set of cards being sent to grave.
We also heard Taylor saying this is what I should have done earlier. I think realizing Mudora could have helped deal with that princess too.
Again, we talked about this on day 0. This is a much longer ride to the World Championship.
Yeah.
And there may be some bumps along the way, but the duelists are just hanging in there the best they can.
Hey, I'm still impressed with how both of these duelists have navigated a very complex game state. The scorecard, you can see that correct at the top of the screen with 2 minutes, 13 seconds on the clock.
Taylor choosing to go first. There's not going to be any battling. However, if they can land into, like, are we going to get past the main phase? That's another question. But we're going to start off with a Cashier Fenrir. Fenrir going to get an additional card.
Normal summon?
And we're going to summon up Mudora. That's going to be the normal summon.
Yeah, get into that Fiendsmith combo as quickly as possible.
He knows what to
And
do.
there's no answer to this particular part. Do we have an Ash Blossom here, which is very
There
crucial?
we go!
There is!
Wow.
There is an Ash Blossom.
We're playing. This is Yu-Gi-Oh!
That is a very crucial Ash Blossom.
Activate?
You got it, man.
Do you want to cut?
I'll cut before you summon. Sure.
Okay, so the fact that that was stopped is huge because if Taylor's able to just inflict a little bit of damage
I'll attempt to
through the Fiendsmith combo and then just continue playing out, build out a stronger field, it gets so much harder. Now an Effect Veiler on top of it.
Unfortunate.
Certainly not taking no for an answer.
Oh, he got the turn back!
Guys, I'm sorry.
All right,
Apologizing to the
Charmy,
crowd.
2 duels in a row, and this could be how it closes out. Not as strong of a start for Taylor.
Now we're going to start with the Wanted. Wanted likely going into
Dia
Bellstar.
Anything on res?
Is there a draw
Black
unlock?
last declared Diabelos are the
They declared Dia
Okay.
Bellstar. Is that the correct card to declare, though?
It may not be.
It'll
Oh, I see. Okay, okay.
So
Yeah,
that
that's
card
separate.
right
Sorry.
now cannot be special summoned
Oh, that's right. That's
unless
the
I
on-field,
believe it's from the
not
graveyard.
I get you. Okay.
It will slow down that
fine.
card, which can start
if-
off the combo.
But if there's no monsters available to summon, that's not going to lead anywhere.
It's all right.
It's becoming a very crazy end to an absolutely
Yeah, we
crazy
got a
set of
minute on
duels.
the clock,
I mean,
gentlemen. I don't know how this one's gonna end.
you can't hold yourself in the main phase. You gotta keep on playing. You gotta play at a reasonable pace. If you're not making plays
I
here,
guess I will set.
I
We're
mean, there's
gonna
a
set-
single Tearlaments. Oh
set,
no!
Set.
No!
Buys the turn back. He buys the turn back. Taylor,
No
get
one
the
can
turn
predict
back.
how this duel is going to end.
But we don't have
Standby phase.
the Moon of the Closed
Main
Heaven.
phase.
Yep.
So Requiem's
Yeah.
already
Summon
engraved.
effect, mill free.
I mean, we just got to get an
Ultimate
attack in at this
And
point.
that's going to get infinite impermanence on the Merly, so we're not going to send cards into the graveyard.
30 seconds
What
on the
game of
clock.
Yu-Gi-Oh! We are playing.
Taylor needs to do
Thing.
any amount of
Sword.
damage to take this.
This is tough because the direct line is gone. Moon of the Closed Heaven's not available. 2 monsters does not mean the Fiendsmith line at this moment.
Taylor briefly pausing as
I
he
mean-
looked through some of the Fiendsmith cards, but I don't know if they're going to
5
help you
seconds
now.
to attack. You have to hit battle phase and attack. I don't think
Oh,
Taylor's realizing
he's putting the
time.
cards back. That's where the Majora's coming in.
Target my own Black Ghost.
Just going to
Sure.
try again.
We'll see if time was added to the round here, because the clock at the top of the screen, unless it's incorrect, signals the end, but they're still playing, so obviously there is more Yu-Gi-Oh! To be had.
They do get to go until the end of the current phase, so it's possible that he's able to pull off that combo as putting back that
Okay.
Moon of the Closed Heaven
We're
is letting it
trying
slam on the
again.
field.
We're
Back into the
trying
Fiendsmith
again.
Requiem.
We got to the Fiendsmith Engraver.
Anything on some?
No.
Effect.
Oh
target.
no, the infinite impermanence has already
Anything
been
on that?
used. Okay, Engraver. This
It can come down to this.
This is
very
a,
well might be it.
Yep, that's going to be
Yep.
the Necrocrypt
Effect
Princess,
target.
and we're going to
Yep.
use the Engraver effect to resummon itself out of the graveyard. That's
Fiendsmith sequence coming our
sequence
way.
for sure.
Uh-oh, I think it is
Yep.
late for this
You got
duel.
it, man.
No activation, no response
two.
for the
Yep.
sequence.
Fusion summon.
Not those two.
Those are the only.
Yeah, no, those are, yeah, because it has to be. Yep.
Okay.
They have to be those two.
Just making sure they
Yep.
get the right ones. Here we
No
go.
legal target here in graveyard.
You don't want to
Yep.
mess this up.
Yep, this
He
is the
apologized to the
pivotal
crowd.
moment, Taylor.
One move left here.
There.
It ain't over till the last card's played, but I think it's about to be
Yeah,
played
it's
now.
about to be over here. There is a Light Fiend monster in the graveyard. We're going to go into SP Little Knight.
Target, Chainlink 2, SP target.
You got it, man.
He got
Oh,
it.
he's got